For this video, we're back at my parents' house, which I actually have a complete video on my channel building. I may be biased, but I think it's a very satisfying video that deserves more views if you want to check that out. But one area that has still been severely lacking the past few years is the garage organization. I planned on building cabinets and outfitting the space eventually, but I had the opportunity to get these cabinets here for free. Definitely not the ideal layout we'd do if I was building them, but you can't beat free cabinets. We're going to do all sorts of cool customizations to them, and thankfully Dad moved the mess so it'd be behind the camera out of my way for the video, but it ends up being such a drastic improvement. In this case, I'm starting with the base cabinets first, and when setting cabinets, you want to start with the highest point in your floor. And with this being a garage with the concrete sloping to a floor drain, there are certainly high spots and lots of shimming to do. I set the cabinets in place to get a visual of the layout and to mark where to cut out the baseboard trim, so I simply placed a level on the cabinets to determine the right side was my highest point, so that's where I needed to start. I could get that first cabinet leveled out where it needed to be and then use that as my benchmark to bring the other cabinets up to that level. You can see the right side of that first cabinet is on the ground, and as I work left, the more I have to shim the cabinets up. Of course, this is a simplified process here, only being a short section on one wall. When you have cabinets wrapping around multiple walls like in a kitchen, the use of a laser really helps to determine your starting point and final height all the way across the room. Once I had everything plumb and running level all the way across, I could get it all finalized by screwing into the wall studs. For the upper cabinets, I love these fast cap third hands. Nice and stable and easy to just jack the cabinet up where it needs to be. In this case, flush with those tall utility cabinets. These are the short third hands, but they do have longer ones too, for instances where you don't set the base cabinets first. It just makes it a breeze to do alone and without screwing cleats or anything to the wall. We had two more of these taller cabinets, and Dad has one of these scent crusher lockers, so we decided to flank each side of that, and then I'll join them together with shelves over top the locker. One thing we're definitely missing here is some drawers. So next I moved on to making some pull-out trays to go inside one of the base cabinets. The trays are simply some 3/4 inch plywood with poplar wrapped around all four sides, and I went ahead and added some of the black toolbox liner material to keep stuff from sliding around when you open and close. I forgot to take my camera tripod when I went back to the house to install these, but it was just a matter of adding some 1/2 inch material to push the slides over so they wouldn't hit the door, and then installing the other half of the drawer slides. Really a great way to use space at the top of these cabinets that may otherwise be wasted. At this point, Dad could go ahead and start taking care of some stuff if he wanted, and I could get a lot made up and finished in my shop, like the cabinet toe kicks, shelves, and some other custom items. Here I'm making a little rack for fishing poles to store on the side of one of those tall utility cabinets. You might have noticed in some of those shots before, Dad has way more poles than a person should have, so this will help get that more organized. With all the trim and everything painted, next I moved on to making the laminate countertops. For the base material, I'm using 3/4 inch particle board. It's stable, incredibly heavy and dense, and best of all cheap, since we're going to be covering it anyway. Since the countertop is over 8 feet long, I'm offsetting the seams of the 4 pieces when I go to glue them together. Another option to create the appearance of a thicker top is just gluing strips around the perimeter and where it rests on the cabinets. But since this is for a workbench, I like the heftiness of going ahead and just doubling up the entire thing. The edges need to be perfectly flush so I can apply the laminate. So rather than trying to get them perfect when gluing and screwing together, I only cut one layer to the final size I needed and left the second a little oversized. Then I come through with a Freud flush trim router bit afterwards to make them the same. With that done, I want to take a minute to talk about Ari at Work, who has been a great supporter of the channel for a long time now. The sales keep on rolling, and right now through January 4th, Ari is having their winter sale. The link to that will be down in the video description, along with another link for 10% off your first order that can be used anytime, just in case you're watching this in the future and missed that winter sale. I've probably shown 3 or 4 different pairs of Ari boots now, and I honestly can't even pick a favorite. These rebar wedge boots I'm wearing here with a composite mock style toe are waterproof and super comfortable just like all the others. And I know a lot of you probably have your favorite work pants that you wear, but trust me, I've worn them too, and you gotta try these Ari at Work pants if you haven't yet. They're incredibly durable, all triple stitched, really comfortable with the Durastretch canvas, and affordable price range too. Another thing I haven't mentioned before is they come in different fits. The M4s are more of a regular fit, and then I really like the M7s, which are more of a slim fit. And no, not skinny jeans, just slimmer. Everything from head to toe is just quality. Be sure to click those links down in the video description to check this stuff out more and save some money. You can get laminate in hundreds of colors and styles, but this black slate is one that my local Menards keeps in stock at the store and looks pretty sweet for a garage, I think. The sheet came 30 inches wide and the countertop is about 26, so I was able to cut strips off for the front and 2 side edges as well from this one sheet. To apply, all I do is roll contact cement to both the laminate and the particle board. Let the glue dry until it's just a little tacky, and then stick the pieces on, applying pressure with a J roller. Same logic as before, leaving the pieces a little oversized and then flush trimming afterwards. You can see by doing the sides first, when I apply the front, it'll cover over so you don't see the ends of the side pieces from the front. And then by doing the actual countertop last, it'll lap over and cover the edges. That way as you slide stuff on and off the countertops, you don't catch the edge on the front piece and potentially damage it. With this contact cement, when the 2 pieces touch, they're stuck for good. So on big pieces like this, you definitely want to add a buffer like I am with these scrap strips of wood, so you can move the piece around and get it lined up where you want first. As I get a good arm workout here, it'd be a great time for you to work out your arms by scrolling down and giving the video a thumbs up and subscribing if you're not already. I really appreciate all of you watching and keeping the channel growing. Naturally, anytime you make something, you want to run your hand across it to see how it feels, but these edges can be really sharp. I found out the hard way the first time I made some laminate countertops. So here I'm just taking a file to knock down the edges. With everything made up and painted, I could head back over and get it installed, first connecting these two cabinets with the shelves. You can see with these deep and skinny cabinets that are just screwed to the wall in the back, I can still flex the front pretty easily, so by tying the whole unit together with these shelves, it made it really solid. And now for hiding gaps, aka adding trim. A 23 gauge pinner really comes in clutch on these smaller pre-finished trims. Leaves just a tiny hole that can easily be brushed over and filled with paint if you want. This Milwaukee one is fairly new and I've been really loving it. Since it's a pretty wide opening for the seating area of the bench, I figured I better add in some supports to keep the countertop from sagging over time. After getting all the hardware installed, I finally went through the painstaking process of adjusting all the hinges to fix the reveals. I definitely prefer tighter margins and spacing, but on these cheaper cabinets, it is what it is. At least now they're all consistent. For the back wall, I'm installing these Omni-Wall metal pegboard panels. I had this one panel and a bunch of leftover accessories from when I did this in my garage, so all my parents had to do was just order a few more panels. When we built the house, like you should with any garage or shop, we put the outlets above workbench height. But several years later, they happen to be right in the way for this layout. But no big deal, I just added box extenders to push them out flush with the panels. I went way more in depth on installing these panels in my garage remodel video at my house if you missed that and want more information on these. But it's a really slick system that I've been really loving. While I wait on the other panels to come in the mail, we did come up with another customization to make underneath that sitting area of the workbench. You'll see what I mean when I install it, but basically it's a deeper area than you need for your stool to tuck under and sit at, so Dad thought it'd be a great spot to store away cans of paint and stuff like that. But rather than having to see all that stuff crammed under there, I'm making a removable panel to hide it all. It wasn't really meant to be truly hidden storage, but I had the perfect amount of shoe molding left over, and by adding that to the front, bottom, and coping the ends, it really does make it seem like it's just part of the cabinets. After painting the front to match, I'm adding magnets to the back, which is how it will be held in place. Then these strips of wood with just some washers and screws that line up with those magnets will be attached to the sides of the cabinets. I didn't want to just film my butt while I did this, but step one was just adding a shelf so you don't have to unstack the whole thing to get to something on the bottom. You can't see it from this angle, but there is a strip of wood underneath attached to the wall too to make it nice and solid. Next I added the wood strips with the washers facing out, and then the panel just snaps in place. I thought it was a really cool idea to tuck away stuff that you basically never need but have to keep, and now you don't have to stare at all that clutter all the time. And right on cue, the rest of the Omni-Wall got delivered so I could finish getting that installed. Just showing off a couple of the accessories here. I'll let Dad put stuff where he wants, but like I said, check out my other garage remodel video at my house to see more, and let me know down in the comments whose garage looks better now. This is something my parents have been needing for too long, so I'm glad to finally get it done. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the process and can take some ideas for your space. Thanks again to Ariat for sponsoring this video. Links to their winter sale and 10% off will be down in the video description. Support me by supporting my sponsors and snagging yourself some great gear. Until next time, take care.